Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. If you're just starting to step onto the yoga mat, you've probably heard the phrase happy hormones thrown around constantly in wellness articles or on social media. But what does that actually mean inside your body? Today, we are demystifying these incredible chemical messengers. We're going to look at the hard science behind how our daily lifestyle directly impacts our inner balance. So get ready to decode your biology.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the happiness myth, then break down the dose framework, explore dopamine and imbalance, uncover the gut-brain link, look at endorphins and oxytocin, and finally, we'll wrap up with restoring balance.
Section 1. The happiness myth.
That brings us to a really provocative question. What is happiness actually made of? The truth is, happiness is not a single switch you just flip. And it's definitely not a supplement you can simply order online with next-day shipping. It's actually a super complex, delicate orchestration of different chemicals interacting across your brain, your glands, and your entire nervous system.
To truly understand this, we need a quick foundation. So, what is a neurotransmitter? Essentially, it's a chemical messenger. It carries signals across the synapses between your nerve cells, and not just in your brain, but throughout your entire body. These are the molecules that dictate literally everything, from your motivation to unroll your yoga mat, to how well you digest your lunch, all the way to how you respond to a stressful day at work. They are the ultimate communication network of your inner world.
Moving on to Section 2, the dose framework. Let's meet the dose chemicals. You can think of dose as a handy acronym for your body's primary reward and regulation systems. First up is dopamine. This is your driver. It gives you motivation and anticipation. Next is oxytocin, the connector, which facilitates trust and bonding. Then we have serotonin, the stabilizer. It's responsible for your mood equilibrium and even your sleep. And finally, endorphins, which are your body's natural pain relievers. But I should mention, there is a silent antagonist hovering over these four, and that's cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. It gives you the energy to adapt to challenges, sure, but when it's chronically elevated, it actually suppresses your dose chemicals.
To really grasp this interplay, let's contrast two of the heavyweights, dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine is highly concentrated in the midbrain, and it's all about alertness and the drive to pursue your goals. It wakes you up. Serotonin, on the other hand, is your body's natural mood stabilizer. It's deeply involved in sleep. In fact, it's a chemical precursor to melatonin, and it governs digestion from your gut all the way to your brainstem. Basically, dopamine pushes you forward, while serotonin keeps you steady.
That takes us to Section 3, dopamine and imbalance.
Now, what's really interesting about this is a massive misunderstanding we need to correct right away. Dopamine is not the feeling of having the reward, it is the anticipation of the reward. Its levels rise when you simply look forward to something. Whether you're missing someone and imagining your next meeting, or just looking forward to your evening yoga class, that dopamine spike happens before the reward is even attained. It is the chemical of wanting and seeking, which makes it absolutely essential for learning and motivation.
But as with most things in life, more dopamine isn't always better. There is a crucial inverted U relationship when it comes to your working memory and cognitive performance. If you have too little dopamine, your brain's signal-to-noise ratio degrades. Neurons just kind of fire randomly, leaving you with low motivation and really poor focus. But, and here's the kicker, if you have too much dopamine, which often happens from excessive immediate reward seeking, it actually decreases the firing of the correct neurons. This makes you impulsive and degrades your cognitive performance just as badly. So, balance is absolutely critical here.
Which leads us to Section 4, the gut-brain link. 90%. Let that sink in for a second. That is the amount of the body's serotonin that is produced completely outside of the brain. When we think of mood and happiness, we almost always think of our heads, right? But almost all of your body's serotonin is actually manufactured right in your gut.
So how does that actually work? Well, it turns out that specific spore-forming gut microbes actively communicate with your intestinal cells, specifically the enterochromaffin cells, if we want to get technical, and stimulate them to produce serotonin. Your gut microbiome acts like a literal factory for mood stabilization. And this is exactly why yogic practices like deep belly breathing are so incredibly powerful. They physically massage your digestive organs and stimulate the vagus nerve, actively supporting this very serotonin factory.
Section 5, endorphins and oxytocin. Let's talk about endorphins. The word literally translates to endogenous morphine, and these are your body's natural painkillers. And this brilliantly illustrates just how potent they are. Research shows they can be 18 to 33 times stronger than actual morphine. They bind to opioid receptors and physically block pain signals from being transmitted at the presynaptic neuron. They're released during physical stress, vigorous movement, and even when we laugh, replacing pain with a real sense of euphoria and enhanced physical well-being.
And of course, we can't forget oxytocin. This hormone supports trust, empathy, and bonding. It's living proof that emotional connections are a biological necessity for us. When oxytocin activity is reduced, people very often experience social withdrawal. You might feel totally isolated even if you're in a crowded room, because interactions suddenly feel energetically draining rather than rewarding.
Finally, Section 6, Restoring Balance.
Putting all this together builds a really clear picture of our daily mental health. If you're feeling emotionally flat and just completely lack the motivation to tackle basic goals, you might be looking at low dopamine. If you're dealing with sudden irritability, anxiety, or out-of-nowhere intense sugar cravings, that is a classic sign of low serotonin. And if you are withdrawing from your friends and finding it hard to connect, well, your oxytocin might be depleted. Recognizing these signs is step one to actively regulating your nervous system.
But here is the wonderful news. Science shows us clear, actionable pathways to restore this balance naturally. Physical asana practices and consistent meditation actually stimulate the brain's reward centers and lower that stress-inducing cortisol. Grounding postures like Yoga Mudrasana can really help calm a hyperactive nervous system, while holding Gyan Mudra during deep relaxation can aid in focusing scattered dopamine. On top of that, consistent sleep regulates your overall dopamine sensitivity, and whole food nutrition feeds those vital gut microbes, completing your inner harmony.
I want to leave you with this final, powerful thought. Happiness is not one chemical. It is a balance between the brain, body, breath, relationships, movement, rest, and lifestyle. It isn't just one thing you can hack or chase. Every single time you roll out that yoga mat or prioritize your rest, you are actively tuning your biology. So ask yourself, are you the master of your chemistry, or is your chemistry mastering you? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and keep exploring.